Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Mitch Trimble, and I'm with the Office of Indiana State Chemist. This video is going to demonstrate how to help you read, navigate, and comply with the changes to pesticide labels that were prompted by the Endangered Species Act, or ESA for short. Over the past few years, our office has raised awareness about ESA and the impact it's had on pesticide labels and how it was going to affect you. For those of you who don't know, the Endangered Species Act was enacted in 1973. It was designed to protect threatened and endangered species as well as their habitats. Although ESA has been around for a long time, the initial registration of pesticide products in the past did not consider it. But over the past few years, the process for which pesticide products are evaluated before their approval and registration has changed dramatically and now incorporate many other factors. The US EPA and other federal agencies establish a risk reward type of evaluation, which is then translated into the product's labels. The goal for these label changes is for you to keep your application on target not only while you're applying it, but also after you've completed that application. The EPA has addressed this in two different ways in the label changes through drift mitigation and runoff mitigation. In a second, I'm going to show you an example of one of the newly registered products that has these ESA elements in them. Not only are you going to see the physical changes in the label itself, but also you're going to notice one of the big changes is the web-based content that the label is directing you to go to in order to fulfill the needs of that pesticide label. Although they might sound a little bit complicated, my goal in this video is to show you how easily it is to be accomplished, and so you can go out and legally apply this product and have as little impact as possible on the endangered species and their habitats. So let's go ahead and take a look at one of the new labels. And in this one we're looking at is Liberty Ultra. So Liberty Ultra is a newly registered pesticide that has these ESA elements to them. I will note that although this is just one product, eventually every single pesticide product that is registered by the EPA will have these ESA elements in them. So not only just because you have a product that you use, a herbicide, pesticide, insecticide, fungicide that you use all the time that doesn't have these ESA elements in them, eventually it will, as either a new product comes online or products are re-registered through time. They will all go through this evaluation process, and every single one of them will have what I'm going to show you on this. So eventually, this will become just a habit. I know this is going to be a change in everybody's routine, what they've done, for a long, long time, and the hardest part is changing this. But hopefully, like I said, this will be an easy way to transition into that, and eventually, it'll be just become old hat for all of us. So let's take a look at one of the newly registered pesticides that has all the ESA elements that I was talking about in it. So Liberty Ultra is one of those new pesticides. And as we scroll through this label, it's going to be the same format that you're basically used to on any other pesticide label you ever seen. Has a lot of the same warnings and instructions and what you're used to reading. So the formatting's not necessarily different. It's just the elements within the label that we're looking for. So the first one we're going to come to is Section 9, um, specifically 9.2, mandatory spray drift buffers. So in this particular label, this is where the mandatory spray drift buffer is. That's not going to be the case in every single label because the format can change from label to label. I'm just trying to show you the actual elements of the ESA that you need to look for in each label. So just because it's 9.2 in this first one in this label doesn't mean that it's going to be in another label. So moving on, 9.2 mandatory spray drift buffers. Mandatory spray drift buffers are not new. They have been around for a while in different products. I know that the over-the-top dicamba products for soybeans, they had a downwind buffer minimum or mandatory downwind buffer of 240 foot, and Enlist One had a 30-foot downwind buffer. So it has been around. The I guess bigger change is going to be is you're going to see those downwind buffers in every pesticide label as they come out. One of the other big differences, you are going to have an opportunity to reduce that buffer though. So you didn't have that option before where you're going to have that option now. Now, on a ground rig application, we only have a downwind buffer distance of 10 feet, which is relatively low in the big scheme of things, but this is going to range. So just on this specific product, again, it's 10 foot, but it can be at any distance, really, depending on what the evaluation was. So again, we'll have an option to take that down, to reduce that. So as we continue to scroll down, we're going to go to section 11, and this is mandatory runoff mitigation. The first two bullets are nothing new as well. Do not apply when soils are saturated. Do not apply during rain. That's pretty normal, traditional label language for runoff mitigation. But the first big notice or big change you're going to notice is this first sentence, which is, you must achieve a minimum of 3 points for the crop uses listed on this label unless otherwise stipulated below. So what is points? This points. What are these? How do you achieve these points? So the EPA created this point system where each product that is evaluated gets a certain amount of points depending on its propensity to run off. And you could achieve these points by your infield characteristics, which are very easy to get. Most fields that, especially in Indiana, it's very simple to get 3 points. Now, this point system is going to be anywhere between 0 and 9 points, again, depending on the product, but 3 being the most common. Uh, the next thing is they're going to hit on this Bulletin's Live 2 and what a PULA is. So a PULA is a PULA, which is a pesticide use limitation area. And we will check this website called BLT a little later and check, see if your target field is in a PULA, which could make stricter guidelines or stricter application instructions for your application itself. Again, we'll get to that as well, but as you read this section, you'll also get the EPA's mitigation menu website. So we have two different websites here, which is what I was hitting on earlier with the web-based content that these labels are going to direct you to. And this web-based content is an extension of the label. So you must follow these instructions and you must go to these websites to check for this. So it is an extension of the label. This is going to be the new formats of labels. But again, my goal here is to show you that this is easy to do and easy to follow. It is an added step. So Bulletin's Live 2, you can get to it under this website here, through this website. So copy and paste or just type it in. And for if you need help, they have this phone number that you can call. And this is an unmanned hotline phone number, but if you leave your name and your phone number, they will call you back. So any questions that you have, if you want to go that route, you can call them, which is also can be helpful for people who don't have internet access as well. So let's go to the Bulletin's Live 2 website and we'll start there. So if we think back real quick on this Liberty label and we're doing a spray rig application to our target field, we have a 10-foot mandatory downwind buffer and we need to achieve 3 mitigation points. So let's see if we get any stricter, if we have to add any points, or if we have to add any distance to our buffer. So we do this by checking Bulletin's Live 2. Let's go to BLT by either copy and pasting this website they're telling us to go to, or what I think the easiest way to do it is just go into your favorite search engine and doing like I'm doing here, and I typed in EPA BLT, Bulletin's Live 2. Our first search result is the correct one, US EPA with Bulletin's Live 2. We're going to click on that. And this is Bulletin's Live 2. So Bulletin's Live 2, you see they have quick links up here for tutorials, for quick start guides. So if you're having trouble navigating it, great resource to go to. There's also an area you can click here, which pops up the directions for you if you prefer it in written format. Now, Bulletin's Live 2, consists of two different things. We have a search box over here and we have our map here. Our map works as a Google map would. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can pull and drag, and we can search our type of map, where from like a 2D to more of a 3D map, which is what I prefer, because if I say search into a specific field, I can see boundaries of fields and actually select your target field. So let's zoom out real fast back to the state of Indiana. So the state of Indiana, we're looking at, and what we're searching for are these pink areas. So these pink areas are the PULAs, or the pesticide use limitation area. Now, don't get overwhelmed. These PULAs are taking into consideration every pesticide product in the state of Indiana, because we haven't searched for a product yet. So yes, there are PULAs in the top half of Indiana and some down there on the southwest. But again, this is taking all products into account. So let's go to our search box and let's start searching for our parameters for our target fields. So for this example, I'm going to just type in the Office of Indiana State Chemist address, which is 175 South University. So you can see that it auto-populates. We're going to confirm that this is our correct address. And when I clicked on it, it automatically zoomed in to our target location. So I want to get this out of the way and click on this, say this is where we're at. So I clicked on it, and because we are in a pink area, but again, it's taken into consideration every single PULA. So let's go to our application month. I'm going to click April of 2026. So as the label said, we have 6 months prior to our application where we can search Bulletins Live 2. Now you're going to have to do this for every target field, but you have 6 months to do it. So you can do it. There's plenty of time in the off season or rainy days that you can get on, and you can check this. As you get used to it, it is super quick. So we're going to say we're planning on doing a burn down at this location in April 2026 with Liberty Ultra. So we have to type in Liberty Ultra's EPA registration number. All products are identified by the EPA reg number, not the product name. So you do have to put in the reg number, which is found on every single pesticide's front page. So EPA reg number for Liberty Ultra is 7969500. And as you can see, it also auto-populated. So this is our product. So I'm going to click on that. And as soon as I clicked on that, you could see that this PULA went away, because I specifically searched for this product. And there is no PULA in my target area. A couple things to mention about Bulletins Live 2 is this is solely internet based. So as you can see, as I'm dragging this around, you can see this goes from red and thinking about it, loading, and it goes to green. So depending on your internet speed can depend on how fast this all loads. So if you do have slower internet speeds, it can take a little time to load, but the more times you start dragging and messing with it, it's going to take longer. So my suggestion is just to keep it there and just let it load, because as soon as this turns green, that means that your bulletin is available to what they call print. So even though there is no PULA for where I'm going, there's no pesticide use limitation area, but you can still print a bulletin to show that there was no bulletin, or I'm sorry, that there was no PULA. So we're going to go ahead and click this, and it automatically downloads into our browser. We open this, and this is a bulletin, and it shows us our map of our target area, and it is not in pink, so there is no use limitation. And then it says that it spells it out for us. Currently, no pesticide use limitations exist, and there is no limitations down here. So you can print this, save it to your computer, however you want to do it. Now, it's not required to do it. This is not a required record keeping, but we strongly suggest at the state chemist that you do keep these records to show that you did check it. So in case there's an incident that happens, and we have to ask if you checked for if you checked Bulletins Live 2, you can prove that yes, I did check it at this time, and there were no pesticide use limitations, or there weren't. There weren't. So speaking of that, and another good reason why you want to save those is because these maps can change at any time. The EPA can change these maps as products are registered, re-registers, as they're reevaluated, and or endangered or threatened species are added to the list in Indiana. So Indiana currently has 59 threatened and or endangered species, which we expect that to go up. And so these PULAs can change. So I want to give you an example now of an area that has a PULA, but I want to stick with the same application month and the same product just for consistency purposes. Now, Indiana does not have any PULAs for this specific product at this time in this application month. Another thing to hit on is that you, even though you have to do this for every target field, you don't have to do this for every single product in a specific or a individual search. So let's we could do this, or say our tank mix has say 2 or 5 products, whatever it's going to be. We can put all those in together, so it checks for PULAs for all those products. So an example is I want to put in list 1 in with the Liberty, which is 62719 695, I believe. So in list 1. So we click this and it adds it to our tank mix. So now it adds that to, and it's checking the Bulletin's Live 2 for any PULAs, which this still doesn't have. So let's discuss, if you are doing a tank mix and you have several products and each label has a different downwind buffer or a different point system, or one product has a PULA and the other product doesn't have a PULA, you have to follow the most strict guidelines that are listed either on the label or BLT. You can't choose the most lenient, you have to choose the most strict. All right, so an example of a PULA with these products, again for consistency, is I'm going to go down here into Lebanon, Tennessee, where we can see this little spot of pink. So this is a pesticide use limitation area in Lebanon, Tennessee. And I'm going to go ahead and type in the location, which is 2979 Hickory Ridge. And this is where I want. I'm going to confirm that. Click on it, and it's going to zoom in to that address. Click that off. Zoom out a little bit, and yes, I want this to be this is my target field. So we're going to click on that target field, and as you can see, when I clicked on it, it changed this area over here. It tells us we do have a limitation for this. So 2 things we want to do is we're going to check out the full details, which is just a quick pop-up box, and it shows us what our use is, our product, and what our actual limitation is. So this limitation is do not apply within the use limitation area between September 15th and May 15th. Now that's a very strict restriction, and that's going to be fairly uncommon, and it's just for this specific small area in Lebanon, Tennessee. But this is an example of a PULA. Let's click off of that, and we are green here, so we can print our bulletin. So let's print it, and it'll automatically download. We'll open this up. And here is our bulletin of our PULA. Again, a map of our target location. We are in a pink area, so it's showing us we are in a limitation area. And as we scroll down, it provides a summary table of our products, what were application methods and any use it has. But down here, it shows us this is what our actual limitation is. So again, good idea to save this, not required, but strongly suggested. All right, so Bulletins Live 2, we're back to our example of what we're doing. And let's just go back into Indiana real fast. In our examples, we are making an application in April 2026. And just for the example, we're only doing Liberty Ultra by itself, and we're doing it at the state chemist office at the address. So we're doing that. We don't have any PULAs, so our application directions are what the Liberty label says, not because we don't have any PULAs, so there are no further restrictions. So we have the 10-foot downwind buffer, and we have 3 mitigation points we must achieve. So how do we, first we're going to go to the drift, see if we can reduce our downwind buffer. And so how do we do that? And I'll show you. So we're going to get out of BLT, and I'm going to show you the three options that EPA has came up with that you can use to calculate your spray drift buffers or your reduction of your spray drift buffers. So the first one is this worksheet. This is one where you can just print off and fill it out by hand, do your own math, so beware. The next version is an Excel spreadsheet. The Excel spreadsheet can be, well, not everybody has Excel, Microsoft Excel, or knows how to use it. But if you do, it is a good source. It's a good tool, but also it's a little bit deeper into the weeds. It can be a little bit more difficult. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that as well. But the best version, what I think is the best version, the easiest one to use for most people, is what they call PALM, PALM. And so I'm going to go just Google it, EPA PALM. And the first thing it comes to search is EPA PALM. So PALM stands for Pesticide Act for Label Mitigations. And we have two options when we scroll down. We have the runoff calculator and we have the spray drift calculator. So we're going to just go to our spray drift calculator because that's where we're going to start. And we're going to go to the first step here is does the label or does any bulletins tell us that we have to leave a spray drift buffer? And it's yes, we do, because Liberty Ultra told us we had a 10-foot buffer. The next page is all optional. If you're going to be doing this for all your target fields, then I would suggest yes, fill this out, because you can put identification number or whatever you call your target field, your tank mix, and what you're using it on. And step 3, we're going to do the ground boom application. And this next step is, if you can say yes to any of these options, then you no longer have to leave a buffer at all. So if you have these options, doing a chemigation or soil injection, going down here, any of these options, if you click yes, you have two things that pop up. You will have an option to skip to final summary. So if we click that and go to your summary, this will tell us no ecological spray drift buffer is needed. So we're done. That's not going to be in most cases. So let's quickly start over and go back to where we were. And we're going to say no. So this is where we're actually going to put our spray drift buffer. So Liberty Ultra told us we have a 10-foot downwind buffer. It told us our minimum droplet size was medium. And what do we plan on doing? Do we want to stick with the medium, or do we want to go to a coarse, because it said we can use medium to coarse? So if we select medium, it doesn't change anything. But if we do a coarser droplet size, then it reduces our buffer by 10%. So which tells us we don't have to leave a spray drift buffer anymore, because you can't go less than 10 feet. So anything off of the 10 feet is going to fulfill that need. But just for an example, if we have a 100-foot downwind buffer and we use medium, that said it was a minimum of medium, we used a coarse, it dropped at 10%. And it went from 100 down to 90. So we took 10 foot or 10% off of our buffer. Let's go back to our Liberty, which is 10. And we're going to use a medium course. So we're still going to have to see if we can reduce that buffer down to 0. Let's go to a low boom. This is our label application rate. So on a burn down Liberty, it told us we can be anywhere between 19 and 29 ounces an acre. So our maximum was 19. And say we were going to do our maximum, it didn't give us any reduction. But it say we're going to do our minimum, but we can't go less than the minimum stated application rate, because we don't want to have problems with resistance. So when we want to stay on label, so we're going to be with the 19. Click off of that, and this gave us a 34% reduction just by reducing our application rate, which again, this changed to tell us that we no longer have a spray drift buffer. And if we go down, it'll allow us to skip to the final summary. So although there are a bunch of other questions, if you see this, or if it allows you to skip to final summary, then you don't have to fill all this out. So you fulfilled those needs. But as you can see, there are many options that you can reduce a chance to reduce those buffers. And we went to our final summary, and we can print this off, which again suggest doing to show that you did this, and it's told you that you no longer have to do it. You filled in, you fulfilled all those needs, and you can prove that you did. Now, the next thing we're going to do is go to the runoff mitigation. Now, the runoff mitigation is the EPA has kind of the same type of worksheets. So we go to the runoff erosion worksheet, and they have a paper copy you can print off and do your own math and handwrite it all in. They have an Excel spreadsheet, which will go to the runoff part, and same thing. Or they have the Palm for that as well, as you saw earlier. So I still think that that is the easiest thing to do. So let's type that in real quick. Go back to our selection, and we're this time going to select the runoff and erosion calculator. Get started. Again, your options for filling in your field ID and tank mix and such. And this step here is like the step of the drift reduction. Is if you can select any one of these as a yes, um, then you fulfilled those needs to get your points, and you no longer have to do it, because I selected that it's going to be a soil injection application. So if I scroll down all the way, you can see I again have an option to go to the final summary, and I fulfilled those needs. Now, that's not going to be the case most of the time, but one thing I really like about this app is if you don't understand what they're asking you, or don't know what a, say, irrigation tailwater return system is, then you click any of these hyperlinks, and it'll take you to the EPA's mitigation menu, take you exactly where you need to be to show you that definition and what they're asking, and you can say yes or no. So that is a very good tool, and that's why I really do like this Palm. So I'm going to click none of the above, because most of the time it's not going to be like that. But now this says, how many points do we need? So Liberty Ultra told us that we needed to have 3 points. And as soon as I click 3, uh, this is like the ongoing total that it'll switch for us. So we need a minimum of 3 points, and currently we have 0 points. And it's telling us, no, we do not have enough points to actually apply the product yet. So let's move on. First one is anything that the system that captures runoff or discharge. If we have a water retention pond, for instance, then it'll give us 2 points, and we only need to achieve 1 more, and so on and so forth. So not applicable, and we're back to 0. Now, I think this is the most important thing as we get into selecting your state and county. So every county in every single state is awarded a number of points depending on how runoff is in the county. So is it very likely or less likely that runoff is going to occur in that county, is how they base this on points, and what type of um, waterways are in that county. So for an example, we're going to select Indiana. If our application has taken place at the state chemist office, then we are in Tippecanoe County. And Tippecanoe County gives us 3 points just for living in, or not for living, but for applying in that county. Our target field is in that county, so we get 3 points. As you can see, it changed from 3 points, and we needed 3 points, and now this changed to yes and skipped to final summary. So we have fulfilled the needs of this, so we are okay to apply this product. Now, for the other end of it, if we select Martin County, Martin County gives you 0 points. They are the only county in the state of Indiana that has the 0 points awarded, as they have been found to have a very high likelihood of runoff. So, but they are the only ones that have the 0 points. So, most counties are going to be into the 2 to 3 range. So, if we, for an example, say LaGrange County, you get 2 points, and we need to achieve three. So, we just need to get one more point. Still telling us no, we can't do it. We don't have the option to go to the summary. Now, this is mitigation tracking. So, what is mitigation tracking? We are doing mitigation tracking. This form and the other forms I showed you is mitigation tracking. So yes, if we're doing mitigation tracking and we're saving our form, then we automatically get 1 point. That brings us to 3, and we're good to apply. But if we click no, just to keep this moving, because I want to show you other parts. This is more of your field characteristics. So fields with a less than or great are less than or equal to 3%. So if you have a fairly flat field, you're going to get awarded 2 points. Uh, Depending on your soil group. So if you have a moderately sandy soil, you get 2 points. Predominantly sandy soil, you get 3 points. So this is just to show you there are many, many, many options that you can click on that gives you these points. They are not hard to achieve. So I just want to show you that it is easy to do. Again, it's just the routine of actually checking all of this. So if I got to the very end and it was like, okay, I'm on step 11 to 12 and I still haven't got it, you can always fall back on this reduction in application rate. So again, if we had a maximum of 29, we're only going to do our minimum of 19, and that gave us 2 points, and now we've achieved our points and we can move on to our summary. So we're on the last page anyway, so we can hit click yes, it goes to our summary, and there we are. We can print it, save it, everything else. Now, one note I want to say about the Palm calculator. So the Palm calculator, they call it an app. It's not an app as you would think, as you can download it on Google Play or your Apple Play Store. You cannot do that. It is not available. I don't know if there's any plans to make that available, but it's just on their desktops. I think they call it an app because it's very mobile friendly. You can do this all on your phone instead of just on the desktop like I'm showing you here. But either way, I just want to, there's some confusion there that when people call it an app, they think that they can just download it off of one of those stores, and that's not the case. So that's pretty much it, guys, on the runoff mitigation and your drift reduction. Now, the last thing I really want to do is just kind of show you some resources you can go to help learn. If you don't know where to go and you're trying to figure out, how all this works. Again, the EPA has these resources that you can go to and learn all of this. Now, I already just showed you the mitigation menu, which shows you all the definitions and descriptions of everything. So that's a good tool. Like I just Googled mitigation, EPA mitigation menu, and it can tell you step by step everything that you need to do. So there is a good resource there. The other resource they have is called the Toolbox. The Toolbox is every document that they have came out with since what they call the herbicide strategy, since all of this ESA stuff started really affecting these labels. So again, if you want to take a deep dive into checking everything out, there are right now 4 pages of documents that they have that they keep on here, and they put dates of when they came out so you can keep track of those. But there's PDFs and PowerPoints and webinars and things of that nature. So if you wanted to take a deep dive into that. Another option is, this is just an example of, say, Crop Life America. There's a lot of third parties out there that have came out with their own sites that have these resources to stay informed. As you can see, there are, again, this is just an example of here. They have educational resources that you can go to. So it's not just the EPA that's coming out with it. It's just not the state chemist that has options. There are other places. If you look, this is such a big deal that you're going to start seeing this everywhere. And the more the time goes on, the easier and that it's going to be that you're going to be able to do this, and the more options you're going to be able to see on how to do it. Lastly, I want to show you is kind of just a summary of where we're at with this. So this again was one product, Liberty Ultra, but we had the three things I showed you. So a mandatory spray drift buffer, a mandatory runoff mitigation, which is the point system, and then a reminder just to use BLT within 6 months of your application to check for these PULAs. This again, state chemist office is I want us to be your resource as well. So if you are having trouble and you're not getting anywhere, call us. You can call or text this number at the state chemist. And if you speak to a person from a different section outside the pesticide section and they're not quite sure, they will get you to where you need to go and talk to who you need to talk to. These are a couple just QR codes if any of you guys are up for doing taking a picture of that. So this is to the mitigation menu where all the definitions were, and this is to Bulletins Live 2 to get you to that quick. There's the websites listed below. All right, everybody. Thank you. Goodbye.